Okay, it's 7 o'clock and we're live. I know Harry and the mayor haven't joined us yet, but they'll catch up.
Absolutely, no problem here. Good evening and welcome to Berwick Clark Summit Special Meeting, February 23rd, 2022, 7 p.m. In attendance, we have Ms. Lopez.
Present.
Ms. Simrel.
Present.
Solicitor Hayes.
Present.
Mr. Jenkins.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Kehoe.
Here.
Mr. Shields.
Present.
And our junior council member, Mr. Thomas. The only
Present.
two that have not checked in yet are Mr. Kelly and Mayor Johnson, but they might have been having an issue getting on the Zoom. So we'll proceed with the meeting, and any information that we need, we can be able to catch up with them on that.
Good.
Okay. The first item on our agenda is our public comment. We don't have any public comment.
No, we have a couple of letters. I have them under later on in the meeting.
Okay, thank you. First item on our agenda is our virtual versus our live meeting. This will be for next Wednesday. It's totally up to council to make a decision where they feel comfortable. The only advocate on this is the fact that we do have to give our presentation to Officer Shedlock, and we were in hopes we were going to be able to do it in person at our March meeting. But I will certainly leave this up to council to see what you're comfortable with.
We will still be, if we did go live, we still would be hybrid. So there'd still be the option to join virtually if
Right.
you couldn't or felt uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So we just need a decision. What are we doing in March, live or virtual?
I'm comfortable in person with the numbers where they're at now, if that helps any decision, but I'm comfortable live.
Yeah, I feel the same way too.
If we do in person, we would still be wearing the mask, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we have the capability, we should continue to offer a hybrid option, but I think we should be in person at minimum.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think
And-
that's enough people that.
Shields, do you have your viewpoint on it? What you would prefer?
Yeah, I think hybrid is probably the best way to go. I think that we need to have a live component, but I think we should allow people the alternate chance to
Absolutely.
appear virtually or by phone if they feel more comfortable.
Okay. Okay, so evidently, Virginia, then we will be doing it live, and anybody that cannot attend can do the hybrid on it, and that
And
way-
Harry is joining us now.
Oh, good.
We don't have, there he is.
I thought it was there before.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a big smiling Harry Kelly. Good deal.
Right. I was trying to find the updated one.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Harry, were you just in on our discussion about our meeting for next week? The majority would like to do it in person, in council chambers, and also anybody that's uncomfortable with that, it could be done hybrid. So
Right.
if you have an opinion on this, Harry, I'm sure whatever you're comfortable with, we would.
Yeah,
be
whatever.
fine.
I mean, I'll certainly participate.
Okay.
I don't mean, I'm not adverse to doing it by way of Zoom. No.
Well,
But,
if
Does
we
everybody
do it-
want to?
If we do it live, Harry, you can still join us by Zoom if that's more comfortable.
Yeah,
right now,
I might, maybe I'll do that. Yeah, I'll
I
see.
think, yeah.
You know,
All right, so
how-
we'll go live hybrid.
But whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Virginia, the only caveat I would say is if some people are meeting in person, we would just have to make sure that we have a majority in person. It's fine if
Right.
some people are participating remotely. It sounds like it will work out that way from what council is expressing. But just something for us to be mindful of, I guess, that day to make sure that we'll have a majority in person.
Mary Claire,
Okay.
how many people are interested in going into the actual meeting physically?
I would be going physically.
Who
Kathleen
else?
would be going physically. Josh would
She
be
wants
going.
to make sure you have a quorum, is what she's asking.
Bob Shields.
Exactly, and
We
it
have
seems
four.
that we would. I just
Okay.
wanted
There are
to.
four right now? Are there 4 individuals right now that are in person? Dave, you're.
Yes, there are,
you're
Harry.
remote.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we have, Ronnie, you're gonna come. Kathleen,
I'll
you're
be
gonna
in
come.
person.
Josh will be in person. Jerry will be in person. Bob, whichever way now, we have
I'll
4,
be,
so we're
I'll be in
good.
person.
whatever.
Okay,
I
so we
mean,
have
if it's an
5.
issue, I'll come in. It's not a big deal.
No, and it's not.
Okay.
Don't worry about it, Harry.
Yeah.
We'll confirm with everyone that day.
Sure.
If there's anybody
All
that
right.
can't make it, we'll let y'all know.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So in other words, Virginia, we can then proceed with our resolution for patrolman.
Shedlock.
So we can give him his.
Right.
Good. Well, we can certainly let him know that we decided this tonight and that he can plan ahead then.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is our police vehicles, the
I
unmarked car. and the Tahoe.
Just want to give you guys an update. We put it on municipal bid. The bids will be coming until next week. As of yesterday morning, between the 2 vehicles, we were over 10,000. Both of them were over 5,000 in the bids. We've even had bids since then, and there'll always be a couple last minute. So
Both of
just
them
wanted
were
to keep you
over
updated.
10,000?
No,
Both-
10,000 total. Both are over 5,000 so
Oh,
far.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I
think
was gonna
that's
say,
good.
that surprised me.
Yeah. Well, when you're talking about a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old vehicle with 100,000 miles,
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Exactly.
Well, they're still in pretty good shape, for the shape they're in, so,
Right?
and they've got good track records.
Yeah.
So they should bring us a halfway decent amount anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Okay, thank you, Virginia.
Sure.
The next item is civil service policies and procedures.
That's something that I've been working on. I spoke to the chief yesterday to go through a couple things and make some changes. I'll plan to have that out to council. I mean, certainly before the meeting, but ideally by the end of this week. So that way you'll have a chance to
Okay.
look through it. I know chief is anxious to just ensure that he has the ability to give a test soon and get a list going. So I think we're in good shape for that.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you, Mary Claire. And then also our letter from David Gasper.
Yeah, he's concerned about the parking in the 1 to 200 block of Center Street. He said the rentals don't have adequate parking and they're parking on the street and blocking other homes. I don't know what we can do about this or what, the apartments, as far as parking is concerned, is grandfathered, but I think that they do have adequate. We don't have an ordinance that requires that parking lots be paved or driveways be paved.
Right.
And as long as parking on the street, it's public parking on the street. There's no private reserved spaces. But he did ask council to consider that. So I don't know if you want to talk about it more, if you want to put it on next week's agenda for a decision, or if I should just write him and explain what I just mentioned.
Maybe that's something that we should consider when we sit down and go over our ordinances every 10 years or so, that we do it, that we do consider something like that for the future. Because we do have to update them with all the changes going on. And maybe that is something that actually would benefit us throughout the borough, not just in the 1 and
Right.
200 block of Center Street.
Virginia, do we have a lot of rental units, or are we getting more rental units than we've had in the past, or is that?
No, no.
Okay.
If you were leaving Garrity's and coming up Center Street, the first two buildings on your right are rentals. The first building has 4 units on the bottom. They're tiny units.
Yes.
And then one up top. And then the next building, I think, has 3. So there you are with 8 living units right in the first 2 buildings. After that, it's mostly single family. There
Right.
might be a couple homes that are rented, but they're mostly single family homes after that. It's not a complaint. In fact, this is the first time I've heard it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this property's been rental units for a while too. It's not like something new or anything like
Forever.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know in that 100 block of Center Street, Virginia, for a period of time, there was a gentleman there, I believe, that was parking his tractor on the side of the road, and it was in the opposite of oncoming traffic. And I don't know if there were any complaints that came into the police department about that, but he did have it off the road as well as he could get it off the road.
Mhm.
However, it was something that, the residents aren't used to seeing in a residential area. It was a tractor from a tractor trailer.
Yeah, I don't think that they're legal, but I didn't hear anything about it personally,
Yeah.
so I didn't know, I obviously couldn't
Yeah.
react to it.
It
All
seems
right,
to me
well,
there's kind of two-
Pardon?
So it seems to me there's kind of 2 topics here. One is some requirement that there be on-premise parking, and the second is complaint that it's dirt. I certainly don't think we want to get into what the surface of the parking area is, because all of a sudden you're talking about, oh, you can't park on your grass, and that seems like a really slippery slope. But is there? I mean, do other municipalities, and maybe this is something, Mayor Claire, you could look into for us. Is it common for there to be an ordinance that there be some ratio of parking spots to units? Is that something we ought to consider?
That's something I could look into. I do know in some parts of Scranton, there's permit parking where it's each household or residents would get 2 stickers and then 1 to 2 visitor passes, depending on how many you pay for. I don't know if that's something, the borough would want to get into, but I could certainly look into that and see how other municipalities deal with that. And that's only in certain parts of Scranton. It's certainly not citywide.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's particular questions you have, I'm happy to look into that between now and our meeting.
So do you
That
want to
makes-
pick this up then next week?
Yeah, I think it's going to get a lot more extensive than what we can do as far as, like Dave said, it's got to be written into an ordinance and so on.
I think it'd be something for zoning to discuss
Right.
too, Jerry.
Oh, yeah. So,
Maybe
well,
throw it to them first and let
I
them
was gonna-
discuss it, and then
that's
come
where
back to
my
us with a
next
recommendation.
suggestion was.
I can send that to the planning commission. I know that they're going to be meeting in March. We could see what they have to say if you're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the direction
Okay.
we go with it and see what their response would be on that.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Very good.
Virginia.
Sure.
Okay. And a letter from Chris Seelig.
Yeah, Chris is the guy who runs the the store complex where Talbot's is.
Right.
The dry cleaners, the ice cream stand. And there's Goodwill in there, and Goodwill had occupied 1 unit. They're now taking 2 units, but it's still going to be just the one small retail shop with really just 1 or 2 employees, just allowing more storage. So he's asking that we waive the requirement, because right now it's 2 EDUs, 1 for each unit.
Right.
He's asking to combine it to 1 EDU while it's merged for this business. So if you guys are okay, we can talk about this next week and vote on it.
Okay.
So anybody have
and
any
then, of
questions on
course,
it?
Jen,
I would-
yeah.
I would say if we're going to do something like that, we put a caveat in there that if it reverts back to a single unit that the second EDU come into play again.
Well,
I-
that
I
would
have-
that would
I have no-
automatically come into play, I would think.
Yeah, I have no problem in what he's saying on the letter that he wrote. But we
Right.
just need to have it so that if it does go back to a single unit again, that we pick up the E EDU.
Right,
Okay,
okay. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the resolution 2022-01, the police mobile data terminals.
Chris is applying for a grant through PCCD, and I'm not sure what those new Pennsylvania Crime Commission or Commission on Crime and Delinquency for mobile terminals. They're basically laptops that are wired into the cars. And we have to pass this resolution to show the council supports his request for the
Exactly.
grant. So I have it written up if you guys don't mind voting on it next week, okay?
Okay, that sounds fine. Thank you, Virginia. The next is the COVID absentee policy.
Yeah,
So-
when we drafted this, it was very specifically stated that we would take the full-time employees on a case-by-case basis. I'd like to recommend that we amend this to remove any discussion of full-time and only leave this for part-time employees. Full-time employees, the DPW gets 102 sick hours a year, and the police get 112 sick hours a year. They have adequate sick time to use. I
Right.
think that, we don't need it for them. The whole point was to cover the people that didn't have sick time.
So
I-
if I can just say that I think regardless of what we do, we should not leave in the policy that it's a case by case basis, because once you've
Right.
made a decision, you've set precedent for the next case.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's a mistake. So whether it should be removed and we should decide, do we follow Virginia's recommendation and make this for part-timers only, or do we revise the
Right.
policy to extend to our full-timers? It has to be one or the
Right.
other, in my view.
I
Well,
agree.
under Virginia's advisement and making it more black and white, if they do have substantial sick time, I think we just leave it for part-time
Right.
employees and make it very simple, black and white. If they're COVID positive, we're willing to pay for the certain amount of days.
That's-
And then there's
go ahead.
no
I'm sorry, Rhonda, go ahead.
misconstruing it or having it
Right.
open-ended.
Right. If we do want to open it up to full-time employees, we already have one. We no sooner adopted this policy than one went out and we lost a week and a half. So he would have 5 sick days that we would have to reimburse him.
And,
But
and
he's full-time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
he's full-
You
and-
probably think
and-
I'm trying this, Ronnie.
Huh?
He probably thinks I'm trying this.
And to credit to the DPW worker, he went on his health care, had no questions whatsoever. So
Right.
there was
He didn't ask
no
for
issue
it. It's just that
whatsoever.
it did come up immediately upon adopting the
Yes.
policy. So I
Right.
needed to address it before it happens
Right.
again.
So I think, we're on a good page with it to carry through for our part-time only.
So if
Okay,
I'll
then we need to,
remove-
we
we
need
have
to
to vote
rewrite the
on it?
policy though, correct?
Yeah, I'll remove
Okay.
that one sentence that refers to full-time
Right.
employees at all. And
Okay.
next week we can vote to adopt it as amended. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay, great.
The only thing I wanted to mention, how was their leave balances? Are they, none of them in a negative situation? Or any of them in a negative sick
What,
time
for the number
situation?
of hours? No,
Yeah.
those guys, both departments are allowed to accrue sick hours.
Right, yes,
So trust me, they have, the DPW, most of them have several hundred sick hours available to them. Many of the
Okay.
police officers have close to 1,000 sick hours
Okay.
available to them.
So it's not an issue. They have adequate
No.
balances. Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Virginia.
Sure.
And then next item on our agenda is the letter from Mr. and Mrs. Walsh. For the,
Yeah, that came in last minute today. They are on Clark Avenue. They are I believe if I recall correctly, it's the first house up on the left after the cigar shop.
Right.
They are both, they're applying for handicap parking plates right now, and they're asking if they could get a handicap parking space dedicated. Obviously, it would be available to anybody that was handicapped. It's not personal for them, but it would restrict it to handicap usage only in front of their home. We would have to do that by ordinance, so which they fully understand. So the
Sure.
question is, do we want to push this up to have Mary Claire write an ordinance for us or not?
Do we run these by the police chief at all?
I didn't, but we can.
Just for context, how many of these handicap parking spaces around the borough do we have and on the street?
Other than downtown, I believe there's probably 3,
Less,
maybe.
yeah, I was gonna say less than 10.
Yeah,
in the whole
definitely
borough.
less than 10. There's just a handful of them, but we do have a couple others in town.
Virginia, do we have any
Any
idea how
specifics?
much the noticing and the drafting of the ordinance would cost the borough, or?
Well, the ad would the ad for the ordinance would probably be $150, $200. Mary Claire's time, it probably shouldn't be too terribly long because we've done these before and we'll probably be doing them again, but I can't speak to how much that would cost.
So it wouldn't be probably more than a couple $100 though. So
Probably not.
Can we temporarily put up a handicap sign? And when we have maybe 2 or 3 more things that need to go in the paper, we can bundle them together and only pay 1 fee to accomplish more than 1 item?
We can, as long as it's understood that this sign would be put up, quote unquote, illegally. We couldn't enforce it.
Well,
So
just
we could
as a
put the
temp-
sign there, but we,
just as a temporary,
right,
and I'm sure as it is with most signs, if people see them, 9 out of 10 people are going to abide by them.
right.
Sure, I would hope so.
and their neighbors is that the cigar bar, the place that's the,
Right,
Yeah,
right off of North State Street. Yeah, and again, like I said, this is the house closest to them. So guaranteed, if somebody's going to be parked, it's going to be at their home, in front of their home, because it's so close.
sure. Okay, well, we'll proceed in that direction with that then, Virginia. We'll have Mary Claire.
We'll make a motion next week to have Mary Claire start writing something.
Exactly. Okay. Okay, and that's all we have on our agenda for this evening. Does anybody have any comments they wanted to reflect, any council members, or? I just wanted.
I had one, just
Oh,
if
go
we,
ahead.
I just was curious, the Goodwill renovation, that's just one wall being torn down? Did I get that correct?
Right, it's
Okay.
just combining 2 units that are next door to each other into one.
And then it just makes it one open space.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
thank you, that's all.
Sure.
But I just wanted to let council know, we did a resolution for Rita Guzzi. And on Friday, the February the 18th, the mayor was there, our state senator and our representative. And it was a surprise party for Rita Guzzi. And they had the entire floor, the tables were filled, balloons. It was absolutely beautiful. She walked, I said, I just hope she doesn't have a heart attack because her actual birthday was on Sunday. So anyway, she was very happy with that. And it was just it's such a credit for her. She's a very sharp woman, and may she continue to have the good health that she's been sporting for 100 years. So we hope we get more. And I said, I'm going to follow in her footsteps too.
You're working on it, Chair.
Well, we're getting there at one day at a time.
I
But
mean, you
Well,
are the youngest person for your age that I know.
Yes.
God. Well, thank you. That's nice to hear. I'll let my girls know that.
Sure they know. They have to keep up with you.
Yes. Well, other than that, this has been a good meeting and I thank everybody for coming on board. And so we'll meet next week in council chambers and hopefully.
Anybody that wants to
everybody
join
continue to be
virtually can.
safe. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, everybody have a safe week and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye now.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sharon.
Bye,
Thanks, Miss Carey.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Right.
Bye,
Virginia.
Ron.
Good
Oh,
night.
yeah,
Could
Bye,
you
Miss
send me
Carey.
Bob Shedlock's phone number? Do you have his number?
I don't have it. You have to
I
ask
do,
the chief.
Harry.
Oh, would you
Oh,
send
I
it to
have
me?
it.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
would, just send it to me. I want to call him.